Avonte Maddox, I want on the field. He was one of the better Eagle players all year long. And I think he should have been a Pro Bowl player because I think there should be a slot corner on the roster of the Pro Bowl, and I think he's as good a slot corner as there is in the league.
Those are the three best kickers this season. Jake's one of the best three. That's pretty good.
John McMullen and Jody McDonald are your Mac and Mac 365 guys here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Yes, for all of those who came out last night to Neck of the Woods in Pittman on Krause's Coats Collection Night, thank you very much for both showing up and your generosity. They were able to take in over 800 coats, which is going to go a long way to getting them to needy people at this very difficult weather time of the year. So thank you very much. John appreciates it, except for the guys that he had to keep at bay with Barrett Brooks as his bodyguard, who were none too happy with him. But supposedly,
I think you had to keep more dudes at bay because Devin was there, to be honest.
That's true, too. Yeah. So you were actually on an island by yourself there. You had to take care of yourself. Yeah. Good for you, tough guy. All right, let me ask you a question about your bud, JG, the defensive coordinator. Saw someone with an article, an opinion piece on the Bucs heading into this game. Yes, they were shut out by the New Orleans Saints just 1 month ago. 9-0 Saints victory. And I do appreciate the fact that Eagle fans looking at that want to point to that game and say, they can be stopped. Well, the 3 games prior to that the 4 games prior to that and the 3 games after that, they've won every single one of them. So they've won 7 of their last 8 games. But that one sticks out like a thorn thumb, not only because it was a loss, but it was a shutout loss. They did not put up a point. The next closest, lowest scoring game they had, they put up a couple of 19s, 1 in a loss, 1 in a win, as a matter of fact, beat the Patriots when Belichick did a pretty good job of containing Brady, but ended up losing the game. So I said, well, if the Saints did it, what can we learn from the Saints? What can we take from the Saints game that worked so effectively for them that they could shut out the Bucs? Well, one of the things that was noted was they played a very aggressive defensive style on the edges, that they got their corners up and played the Bucs wide receiver on the line, chucking them immediately as the ball is snapped. And that did throw Brady and his receivers and his timing off a little bit. That is not an Eagle strong suit, John. They don't play much one-on-one, in your face, up on the line of scrimmage, check them off the line as soon as the play starts type defense. Do they go to that because it has worked? It's far and away the best defensive effort that any team put up against the Bucs this year. Do you try and take a page out of somebody else's book, or do you say, well, unfortunately, we no longer have the safety here that the Saints defensive coordinator had faith in, Malcolm Jenkins, that if somebody gets beat off a chuck, we got help on the back end that's going to be able to get the job done for us. We going to see any aggressive corner play out of the Eagles on Sunday, excuse me?
No. Look, I mean, Darius Slay is capable of doing anything at the cornerback position. Avonte Maddox is capable of being a press corner in the slot. And in fact, I would think that would be one of his strengths. But you do have to have, the one thing, and I'll have to go back now that you bring this up, and because I don't remember the exact details of the game. I do remember watching the game, and the thing that's stuck out was our old friend Malcolm Jenkins and just how physical he was in that particular game. And the Eagles don't have a Malcolm Jenkins any longer. And we talk about with the tight ends because that's going to be the strength of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the passing game, along with Mike Evans. It'd be nice to have Malcolm Jenkins this week, but you don't have Malcolm Jenkins this week. So I do think you bring up a good point when people talk about Oh, you got to get up and press. You got to get up and press. Well, you damn well better have safeties that can take advantage, that can back you up and
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to, in case somebody does get loose. And I don't think the Eagles have that kind of confidence in Rodney McLeod at this stage of his career and Anthony Harris. And then, but the overriding thing is, and I say this all the time, you don't play a certain way the entire season, and there's an evolution, and then change completely for a playoff game. That's just not how it works. Um, and the Eagles have gotten progressively better on the defensive side of the football. And I forget who asked Jonathan Gannon, what changed, but they got the one word answer: execution. That's what changed. Guys started understanding what was being asked of them. They did a better job of tackling as the season wore on. And they just understood the defense better. And that happens, the coaches start to understand the players better. They start putting players in better position. The players start understanding what the coaches want, and you have this sort of evolution. But you don't play one way an entire 17-game season, not 16 games, 17 games, and then show up for the playoffs and go, oh, yeah, we're going to do something completely different.
Completely different. I agree with you, but then let me ask about this, because it would be potentially what the Eagles have done for a good majority of the year. I'm a big fan of their slot corner. You and I had this discussion here on Birds 365. I think the Pro Bowl is a joke with the fact that they still pick a fullback every year. Oh, fullback's a really important position in the National Football League. About 5 teams have a fullback. The other 27 teams go, screw the fullback. We don't need a fullback. But it still gets a nod as a starter on the Pro Bowl roster every single year. Avonte Maddox, I want on the field. He was one of the better Eagle players all year long. And I think he should have been a Pro Bowl player, because I think there should be a slot corner on the roster of the Pro Bowl, and I think he's as good a slot corner as there is in the league. But if the other team is only going to put 2 wide receivers out there, and they're going to put 2 tight ends out there, and Rodney McLeod, you want him on the field, Avonte Maddox, can he cover Gronk? I like the guy. I'm telling you, I think he's a Pro Bowl talent, but there is one big issue, and it's big. Gronkowski's a monster.
Yeah.
Avonte's a little guy. I think he's tough enough. I think he'd take the challenge, but I think the Brady's so good, he puts it up there, Gronko gets it. Even playing a good defensive play, Maddox could get beat. How are the Eagles going to handle that? Are they going to have Avonte Maddox off the field that much more often if Tampa goes with a 2 tight end set for the majority of the game?
Yeah, they probably will. And, it's not just Avonte, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the safeties, even the linebackers, can't match up with Gronk's size as well. That's why he's an issue. But you just play basketball at that point. Rob Gronkowski's not going to be able to get away from Avonte Maddox or any corner. I've talked about this in the past, and that NFL corners can cover tight ends. That's not the problem. The problem is, and especially when you get somebody like Gronk or Kittle or Mark Andrews or Dallas Goedert, and the Eagles have this success themselves, they're just too big and physical, and they can just, body them up like they're rebounding, and, all of a sudden the chains are moving, and there you go. And that's why you see these. Probably saw it with Mark Andrews this year more than anybody else. That guy had a phenomenal year in Baltimore. Always open, because how do you deal with guys like that? In a lot of ways for defenses, when you do get a tight end like that, there's nobody on the field who can match up with them, because they're too big and physical for corners, and they're too athletic and too fast for linebackers. That's why they're difficult matchups.
Yeah. And Andrews, I watch a lot of the Ravens games this year, because that's what I do on Sundays. If I have the Eagles on, I can jump to another game. I go back and watch it on tape thereafter. he gets open.
Oh, he's always open. It's
See,
amazing.
Gronk is a guy who you can watch, and you know that the D-back did a good job, or linebacker, that they're right there, draped over him, in good coverage, and he still goes up and makes the catch. That's not Andrews. Andrews gets separation. I'm not exactly sure how, but he had a lot of catches that he just made because he was wide open this year. He kind of needs to be, because Lamar Jackson isn't going to be one of those quarterbacks who just drops a dime and puts it exactly in the only place where the receiver can catch it and the D-back can't get a shot at it. He had a hell of a year for Baltimore. All right, I want to ask you about your buddies at PFF, Pro Football Focus. They came out with their Pro Bowl rankings yesterday. No Eagles on the first team, which I don't think I can complain about. There's 4 guys who made the second team, and you can make an argument, hey, well, maybe one of them could have made first team. No, I think they were all second team. I don't think they got that wrong.
I didn't even see it.
You didn't see it?
No,
the 4 Eagles who made second team All-Pro as per Pro Football Focus, both tackles, who you and I talked about with the tackles on the Pro Bowl roster, neither one of them made it. I thought they both could make it. The fact that Lane Johnson wasn't even an alternate was a joke. For the second team, both Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata made second team. Darius Slay made second team cornerback. And one more Eagle made second team without looking it up. Do you know who it is?
I'm sorry. I was trying to
Mailata in, Lane in, Slay in. There's 3 of your 4 second team All-Pros as per Pro Football Focus. Who is the 4th and last?
Well, it's got to be offensive line, right? I don't think they had Kelsey up at that level.
They didn't, and that's just awful. Kelsey doesn't. I think Kelsey should make
third.
First team, let alone second team. He didn't make either.
Yeah, I think he was third. So I'm trying to figure out who else they would think would be an All-Pro level player. I'm trying to go through it quick. Certainly not anybody on offense. Defense. TJ Edwards?
No.
I don't know. Coming up with an empty.
Think ST.
Oh, Jake Elliot.
Jake Elliot, second team place kicker.
Yeah.
This
Wasn't
year.
thinking
Good for Jake. And
he deserves it.
He does deserve it. And again, we kind of like bounce around and come back to this. Got to give Howie Roseman the nod here, because he took some grief when Jake was having a bad year last year. And oh, by the way, yes, he did have a bad year last year, like a whole bunch of Eagles did. Jake Elliott was included in that. And he had been one of the chosen who had gotten the contract extension that the Eagles always try and do. And most times it's a very smart move for the organization. And Jake was not living up to the contract that he got as a kicker. And people were wondering, should the Eagles just cut him and move on from it and take a cap hit? Well, they couldn't afford to in a year that they were taking $33 million of dead money on Carson Wentz. That the kicker wasn't going and going to cost you dead money as well. So by hook or by crook, they stayed with Jake Elliott, and he rewarded him by coming back and having a Pro Bowl type season. Do we give Howie Roseman credit for not overly reacting and pulling the trigger on Jake Elliott, or did the salary cap kind of dictate they had to live with him?
I don't know. Certainly, I mean, this is a team that took 60-something million in dead money. They could have took the dead money of a kicker, even a kicker with a nice contract for a kicker. That's nothing. So I don't think that played into it. Jake's a good kicker, and he had a shaky year, and they knew. I don't think that was much of a decision for him. There was never any wavering of, well, we're going to move on from Jake Elliott. It was one of those things where, in baseball, you have a good reliever. Sometimes he has a bad year, and you say he's going to bounce back. That's kind of that was kind of the Eagles' mentality with Jake Elliott. And, that's interesting, because if this becomes a close game, that Tampa's got a good kicker as well, Ryan Suckup. So that's kind of strength versus strength as well, with guys having big years. Jake's been a little bit more consistent. So I assume Justin Tucker was number one, as he should be. They should name the award for Justin Tucker. And then I think Boswell was also really good, but I think he wavered a little bit late. So I think those are the three best kickers this season. Jake's one of the best three. That's pretty good. And I have a question for you because I haven't seen the list. Did they put, I know they put Trent Williams on there, but at tackle, did they go Teron Smith or did they go another
no.
right tackle?
I just saw the Eagle guys. I didn't even see the whole list. The Eagle guys that
all right.
made
I'll
it.
have to look it up.
Let me throw a one other guy on there for kickers because I thought that was I didn't know it. So anytime something pops up that I think I should know and I don't know, I go, damn, that's a great job that they brought that up. Probably isn't. It's just the fact that I didn't know it, and that's bad on me. Carlson hasn't missed a field goal in Vegas since they opened the stadium.
Yeah, he should be in there as well. Yeah, I should have thrown him.
Holy mackerel. And of course, with the entire season online the other day, drills one, no pressure, no problem. Ton of pressure, I should say.
By the way,
he's pretty damn good, the Raiders kicker.
By the way, another reason Mike Zimmer doesn't have a job. For people that don't remember, the Vikings drafted Daniel Carson and drafted as a kicker. And he made the team because they drafted him. And he missed 3 kicks in Green Bay. And Zimmer just wouldn't even talk about him. He hates young players. And, the Vikings were forced to cut him. And he turns into the great kicker everybody envisioned. Sometimes you got to have patience with younger players. And when that doesn't manifest itself, you're gonna lose your job. So he's another example of a coach not doing his job, and he turns into a star player somewhere else.
Yeah, and the Raiders benefited from the impatience.
And by the way, I looked it up. Guess who the first team they did use? First team right tackle, Tristan Wirfs. Lane Johnson.
Yeah, he's going up. That's the Eagles' offensive line against the Bucs' offensive line. We always believe the Eagles, off the season that they had, are going to have a major advantage in comparing offensive lines against offensive line. Yeah, not really. The Bucs' offensive line is right there with the Eagles' offensive line. And the funny thing about it, this is the one thing I did see, which I thought was just way out of line. If I asked you, John McMullen, who are the 2 best centers in football right now?
I would say Jason Kelce and the rookie from Kansas City, has been phenomenal. He's probably been the best center in football. Kid from Oklahoma, I can't think of his name.
And he was on Pro Football Focus's first team. I'm sorry, I'm taking Kelce and Ryan Jensen. The Bucs center, who is
he's phenomenal. He's really good as well. But I mean, there are good players. I think for this year, I think Humphrey is. He's been just unbelievable. When you talk about players overall, consistency's got to come into it, and all those types of things. And Jason Kelce's been doing it for a very long time, and Ryan Jensen has been doing it for a number of years now, not as long as Kelce, but he's been a very good player now for a number of years. I don't think it's an insult to say on one particular year. I mean, Creed Humphrey he's sort of like the Micah Parsons of the offensive line this year. He was just dominant, and doesn't mean it's going to continue. We'll see if he has people are going to try to adjust and try to attack him in different ways, but I can't criticize Creed Humphrey this year.
They went with him and the kid from Los Angeles, the Chargers, as well. Yeah, give me the veteran guys. Give me Jensen. Give me Jason Kelce. All right, one last thing before we get in break number 2 for today. It is a pressurized situation for both the head coach and the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Neither one of these guys has ever faced playoff pressure in the position they're in right now, which is quarterback of an NFL playoff team and head coach of a team that's going to the playoffs after going 4-11-1 last year. Nothing to do with Sirianni, but year 1 in the playoffs. But that's a pretty pressurized spot that he drops into. Inexperienced is an understatement for both of those in those two positions. Any worries that the moment's going to be a little big for either one at some point during the game on Sunday?
Not Jalen Hurts. Well, I mean, the kid's pulse doesn't change, number one. It never has. I don't expect it will be on Sunday. And he's played in big games. If you play in Alabama in the national championship, in a lot of ways, that's bigger than certainly the atmosphere is bigger than just a regular NFL playoff game. The coach, I think there's a learning curve. And by the way, there's a learning curve with the quarterback. Just because you're not overwhelmed doesn't mean there's not a learning curve on the field. To me, the only statistic that matters this week, Jody, is 46 versus 1. And that is in reference to this is Tom Brady's 46th stinking playoff game. And this is Jalen Hurts' first. So no matter how you want to swing that, that's kind of an advantage, to say the least. And oh, by the way, of the 45 previous playoff games, he's won 34 of them.
Yeah, 34-11. That's a pretty damn good record for that Brady guy. All right, my favorite. It's coming, McMullen. Hypothetical. Eagles hang in the game. It's close. It's competitive. They get what they didn't get in the first matchup with the Bucs, which is a fourth quarter, second half of the fourth quarter stop. And Tampa's forced to punt. It's a one-score game. They're down 4, 5, 6. They need a touchdown. Field goal's not going to get it done, but they need a touchdown to be able to get the job done. And they get the ball back just under the 2 minutes. We'll give them a timeout because we don't want to make it that hard. One timeout left. They'd used 2 on defense to force the Bucs to punt, and they got the ball at the 20-yard line. Jalen Hurts has to go 80 yards, and he needs to get it into the end zone for the Eagles to pull out a win. What does it mean both ways? If he accomplishes that, how much does he secure his place as the quarterback going forward for the Eagles? If he doesn't, and I'm not saying 3 and out or throws a pick 6 or anything, the clock is too big an enemy to overcome along with the Tampa defense, and they don't get that touchdown. Shoot, maybe even Jalen Reagor drops a ball on him again in the end zone like he did in the Giant game. But the bottom line is the Eagles don't score that touchdown, don't win the game. How much does it fall on Hurts' shoulders?
How much does it fall if he wins versus how he wins and loses?
Give me the narrative with the win, rallying and getting him. The narrative, he doesn't get the job done, can't score the winning touchdown when they got the ball back with 2 minutes to play.
The narrative, if he wins, is he's the quarterback for the future. He's the quarterback for the next 10 years. It's human nature. It's recency bias. You remember the last thing, and he just went 80 yards to beat the greatest quarterback of all time, who's not on the field. Technically, he has nothing to do with it. But that's how it will be portrayed. And, it's one of those things you hope the front office can set aside when they're making evaluations. But no question, people will latch on to that and say, Jalen Hurts is here. Jalen Hurts is the guy. Jalen Hurts is the unquestioned leader, quarterback of this team for the next, you name the number of years. If they lose, it kind of depends on how. If you go 78 yards and you're at the 2-yard line and you lose on fourth down, I think there's still a lot of grit and determination and those types of narratives. If it is 3 and outs, if it is a pick 6, an ugly pick 6 on that 3 and out, then I think you start, teetering in the other direction. He's not ready. He wasn't ready for the moment. The moment was too big for him, that kind of stuff. It's all emotional after a playoff game because it's a period for one team season. That's it. You walk off the field and it's that sudden. So those will be the emotional immediate takes in those types of situations.
It's going to be big if that's the case on Sunday, and Johnny Mac will be there in Tampa. You got your flight already? You got your hotel already? You're good to go for Florida, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Still got to get by that COVID test, Jody.
That's mañana, right? We got you as a
Yeah.
guest first thing tomorrow because you got to go and get the stick stuck up your nose.
Exactly. Hope I get the gentle stick poker.
I keep pushing back the break. Now you got to give me another question. Do you have to carry your card with you when you go on your road? Your vaccination card?
No. I do have a picture of it just in case. I took the picture. Nobody has requested to see the actual card. After Antonio Brown pulled his nonsense, I thought maybe they would, but yeah, mine's legit.
You're a trustworthy soul, so yes.
Although I always wondered, I mean, I don't know about anybody else. Some people go to their doctor. I just got my vaccination at a local Walgreens, and I did them all. I did my first dose, my second dose, my booster at a local Walgreens. And I'm like, these cards aren't exactly, you got some jabroni just signing. I thought it was ripe for some Antonio Brown type shenanigans, which is a word I've used a lot.
And I got mine done at the Moorestown Mall. This was when the government was all behind it. With a military guy escorted me along the walkway that you had to walk to go from stage to stage to stage. But
I thought they were taking you out of the country.
I think it was like an old Strawbridge and Clothier or something else. You're walking. All right, I'm getting an important shot here. Can I get some ladies' lingerie while I'm at it? It was pretty damn weird. All right, McMullen and McDonald. Yes, let's take our second break of the day. Still got an hour left to play. Rob Mighty to join us later this hour. Stay here on Birds 365.